Casimir Dennis for Submission Radio Australia, proudly brought to you by Masashi, here with the woman who takes on Michelle Waters in UFC 229, Felice Herrig, feeling extra bubbly today. A lot of energy. Where's this energy coming from?
I think it's coming from the fact that I now finally have a proper nutritionist, George Lockhart, to help me with my weight cut, and I'm doing things so right now to where I just feel strong and energetic because I'm not deprived, I'm not depleted, I'm fueling myself properly, and I feel so good. I'm happy the way I normally am when people don't see me when I'm cutting weight.
It's coming through, it's shining through. When was the moment when you decided that you needed a nutritionist? And I imagine you would have felt like that for a while, so why did you sort of wait the long time before getting one?
It wasn't, the past few years now, I've been really tightening up my nutrition. I'm good with my nutrition. It's just a matter of the final stages of the weight cut, not knowing how much you can eat, how much you can drink. It just, my manager had wanted me to work with George for a while. It's just more so the science of the water and whatnot. It's not that my nutrition has been bad for a long time. It's just sometimes I cut too much too soon. I know how to cut weight, but I don't know the science behind when to water load, why, how much to eat, how many calories can I still burn just by living each day with, even if I didn't work out or do anything. So it's just those extra little things to give me an advantage. Not that I was doing it wrong for a while, but by now I'd already had, cut a lot more water than I should have.
Let's talk about Fight Week. I mean, a McGregor card always brings a lot of attention with it. Have you enjoyed it so far? Because we're on your Instagram. We saw there was a little bit of dress up being played yesterday. You had the Khabib hat on. You were playing around a little bit with a chair. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's kind of funny how everybody acts like, oh, you're riding Conor's coattails and you're just trying to get attention, and oh, it must be nice fighting on pay-per-view with him. You're going to make so much more money. And it's like, no, I make the same amount of money whether I'm on a Conor McGregor card or not. I don't get pay-per-view points, so I'm not making any more money by being on the same card as Conor. And it's just why not? It's just fun. It's all in fun. I'm a goofy person. I have a goofy personality. I'm not doing things maliciously. I'm not doing things to try to ride anybody's coattails. You see a Khabib wig and you want to put it on. You see big giant posters of Conor McGregor's face and you want to throw a dolly at it. I'm sorry.
Is it almost a little bit weird because 6 months ago in April you were on that UFC 223 card, you were actually in that bus, and here you are on another Conor McGregor card, media day. Is it a little bit we don't really know what's going to happen here?
I think that the security measures being taken now are probably a lot more extreme. It's kind of like 9/11.
You asked them to do that, right? You saw it personally?
No, not personally. Sorry, I just compared it to 9/11, but not in a bad way. I mean, sometimes it takes a big incident to happen to realize, oh, we maybe need to be a little bit more cautious. And that was, I'm still pissed at that. I think that was bullshit. I think it was number one bullshit. I think that was very wrong and disrespectful. I don't care. It's not because it was Conor, anybody. And if any human being did that, in fact, if anyone other than Conor did it, nobody would be questioning why I am so against that. I think all the fighters, a lot of the fighters suffered on the UFC 223 card because of it. 4 or 5 fights didn't happen because of it. A few fighters were injured, and it was scary. So I'm sorry that I don't think breaking the law is cool.
Have you been able to recover from that sort of mentally? Because I know with Rose Namajunas, her coach was saying that she's still feeling some of those effects.
Yeah, for me it wasn't a tragic, oh my gosh, this is so life-changing, I'm going to have flashbacks about it. For me it wasn't like that. It was scary in the moment because you didn't really know what was going on. Then when you realized it was just Conor being a dumbass, it was just oh, okay, whatever. And now I'm just pissed. So I'm over it, but of course I'm going to talk about it because people want to talk about it. But I could care less about that right now. I just want to fight.
No more
You know.
buses for Felice, just Ubers from now on during fight week. Let's talk about the big fight with you and Michelle Waterson. Obviously, you guys have been around each other for quite some time, and now the fight comes together now at UFC 229. Tell us a little bit about the journey of your relationship, and also, are you surprised that it's taken so long for you guys to actually fight each other?
I am surprised it's taken so long, to be honest with you, because we were on a reality show together in 2007, and since then I had tried to fight her in Muay Thai, I had tried to fight her in MMA, and it was always, no, we'll only fight you at this weight class. I was like, okay, well, I'll fight at that weight class, and then it was always like, oh, no, lower, and this was before there were even weight classes, so you would just kind of agree to a number that you were going to fight at.
What were the numbers? Do you remember?
Well, when I was on Fight Girls, I was really lean because I was like walking around 117 at that time because all I did was striking. And at first it was like 112, and I was like, I can make 112. And then it was 110. I was like, I can make 110. And then it was like 107, and I'm like, I could try to make 107. And then it was like 104, and I'm like, I can't make 104. And so it just never happened in that time, and it wasn't something that like I really stressed about. Like if somebody's thinks you're too big to fight, then whatever. And then when we were in Invicta, she was at 105 and I was in 115. So again, it was never an issue. It wasn't ever thought about until we were both in the UFC at 115. It's like, because that's the thing. When you're in the UFC and you're fighting in the same weight class, you look at everybody as a potential opponent. So I knew once we were in the UFC, I knew that the fight would eventually happen. I wasn't stressing it. It was, I fight whoever the UFC gives me. The UFC calls me and says, hey, we got an opponent for you. We want you to fight so-and-so. I'm like, all right, I'll get ready. And it just so happened that this last time the phone call was to fight Michelle Waterson.
Do you think that's something that's in the back of her mind, sort of that she was trying to fight you at a lower weight, and now you guys are fighting at 115 after all these years?
I can't really speculate too much. I would think maybe it plays in her mind a little bit. But again, you know, back in the day, like 2007, like we've both grown and evolved so much. You know, she obviously moved up to 115 feeling like she could do well at 115, and she has done well at 115. So I can't really say that this size really matters that much anymore. We've both evolved and grown, not even just as fighters, but as women. Like, I'm a woman now, Michelle's a woman now. Before, I feel like, we were just kids, you know. 20, I was on the we were the youngest girls on the show. We were both like, I was like 21, she was like maybe 20, I don't know. She's a little bit younger than me, so I'm not going to speculate. We're fighting now.
What do you think about the push the UFC has given Waterson? I mean, you're obviously a veteran. You've done so many great things in the sport. Do you feel like the UFC sort of have gotten behind her a lot more than some of the other girls in the division? Do you feel like you've gotten the same promotion and the same push from the UFC like Waterson or some of the other
lately
people?
I've been fine, you know, with the UFC and with the media. You know, I've turned media down now at this point. You know, if I feel like it wasn't
We've been trying to get you on every week. No.
I was supposed to do. They had wanted me to do some media on Sunday, and I said no, just because it was going to be extra travel, and so Michelle got to do that media instead, and it was, it's fine with me. I just did a Modelo commercial, so I can't really say that I'm not getting the push. Maybe you feel she's getting more push, but I feel like I'm Felice Herrig. I do my thing. Things come my way. I'm always just going to keep being me, and I'm not going to really focus anymore on what I'm not going to focus on what I'm not getting, because to be honest with you, I'm very happy with my life, my career, the way it's going. I have sponsors, outside of the UFC. I have a lot going for me in my career, and so for me, I'm good. I'm content.
Just mentally wise, you're coming off the really close decision loss to Karolina Kowalkiewicz. How does that sort of play a factor mentally? I guess, does that sort of light a fire under you bouncing back from that loss?
I always come back stronger after losses, so I guess it does light a light a fire inside of me. But it always just pushes me to, okay, what did I do wrong in that fight? What could I have done better? What could I have done more of? I'm always constantly learning and growing as a fighter. I'm never stagnant. I'm never complacent. I'm never just like, oh, well, I'm just going to go do things the same way as I've always done them. I'm like constantly learning, evolving, and growing, and I think that every fight I get better and better, and I'm not really, that's in the past. just like my 50 plus other fights are all in the past. I'm not looking at my first MMA fight and saying, oh my gosh, is that playing a factor in this fight tonight that has nothing to do with my first MMA fight? No, that was that fight and this is this fight, and I'm just completely refocused and I'm just focused on this fight.
A very impressive career. As we wrap up, what's your prediction for this one? Are you feeling a certain way here?
I'm feeling like I felt when I fought Grasso. For whatever reason, when I fought Alexa Grasso, I felt good. And you can see I feel good right now. I don't know, like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to jinx it. I feel so good. I don't know what that means. Does it mean something? Does it not mean anything? All in all, though, I'm just happy that I'm happy. Who wants to be miserable? I've had fights where I was super nervous and super miserable. Sometimes I've won them, sometimes I've lost them. It doesn't really mean anything, but for my overall well-being, I'm glad I'm happy. I'm glad I'm in good spirits. I hope it means something good.
Well, we're happy that you're happy. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck this weekend, Felice.
Thank you.